Yo, what the hell's up? Welcome back to Reviews with Jake, where I just got done watching some movies. Apparently this is the only way that I can see and review movies anymore, in bulk. Let's kick things off with the most recent release of the trio, The End of Oak Street, the movie that the dino-loving kid in me was really dying to see. With that in mind, this movie gave me a lot of prehistoric carnage that I was waiting to see in the most recent Jurassic World entries, especially of that residential setting variety, something that I think all of us can agree we were waiting to see in those movies and never truly got. This movie pushed that PG-13 rating to its absolute brim. Like, I have no idea how they got away with getting that rating for it, but I dug it. Of course, I could have used a little bit more. I always can. But that being said, it gave me a lot more brutal dino violence than I've gotten in any dino movie as of late. The dinosaur action in this movie was great, and it was accompanied by a fantastic score that really pushed forth that throwback vibe that this movie possessed. Much like the characters of this story, we were all, as audience members, transported back a few decades with this movie. On the note of the story, there isn't really much here in that department, and character development arcs or anything, at least nothing satisfying, but it's an hour 40-minute runtime. I can forgive that. Almost everything that they set up in this movie is paid off in some way besides one very, very pointless subplot. This movie sets out to do one thing, just hit you in the face multiple times with dinosaurs and monsters of several varieties, and that's exactly what they do, to the point that honestly it kind of feels like it has some pacing issues. It's kind of sensory overload. A lot of the movie is just one dino encounter and then the next and the next and the next, back to back to back. None of them really last that long, nor do they do a really good job of building tension throughout those encounters. They don't stick around long enough for anything like that to build. The ending of the film too, I wasn't the biggest fan of. I'm not going to dive too deep into it, but it just felt like, logistically speaking, it didn't make a lick of sense, especially considering one aspect of it in particular kind of felt like a studio note to make the film more palatable for general audiences. Can't say I was the biggest fan of the way that it wrapped up. I also wasn't the biggest fan of some of the experimental camera work that was tapped in for this movie. Got a little too artsy-fartsy for my taste. Some of it was cool, but then you got the really long, drawn-out zooms in the middle of a shot. Kind of tacky. Same with the split diopter focus going on. I never really was the biggest fan of that effect when it's used, even when Mike Flanagan used it all the time. Love that guy, but that is just a silly effect that I've never appreciated. All in all, though, for basically a 90-minute film, I really did enjoy it. Is it flawed? Absolutely. But I can forgive all that if you give me a good dose of dinos. I mean, damn, I still have the original Jurassic Park blanket from my childhood. Give me the dinos. All of them. Speaking of sweet, sweet nostalgia, next up is Spider-Man Brand New Day. This movie definitely had some very satisfying web-slinging moments and action. Sometimes it was a little too over-stylized, I have to say that much. You can definitely tell there's a new director here from the last three films, for better or worse. But while this film is a lot of fun and rarely drags, no one can say that it should have been 2.5 hours long. That's way too long, especially considering this story follows similar treads that we've gotten in previous Spider-Man movies and iterations in some way, shape, or form. Peter Parker girl troubles, identity revelation crises, changing or losing powers. I mean, does it not feel like we're kind of rinsing and repeating a lot of the same stuff over the last 9+ Spider-Man films that we've gotten over the years? And the villain for the movie, I don't know why everyone's tiptoeing around this reality. I mean, we all know who it was, right? I mean, there was a girl that was cast to be in this movie to play a character that in the trailer is showing to have powers very similar to a character in the comics that looks exactly like the girl that they cast. I mean, come on. In this day and age, good on you if you somehow don't know who the villain is at this point. I'm not going to be the one to spoil it. All I'm saying is that she very much felt like a bridge character for a Spider-Man movie. Like, it didn't really feel like she and herself had a lot of standalone value here. The Vulture stood plenty fine on his own. Same with Mysterio, and you had that quintessential Spider-Man and Mysterio throwdown in the second film. And the third one was a little bit of fan service victory lap going on here, admittedly, but I can't say it didn't work. It brought back a lot of familiar faces, and all the Aunt May stuff that happened in it had a lot of emotional payoff. So So far, it's been kind of 3 for 3. This is the first one that it really truly felt like they were trying to bring something or someone into the MCU and not really make this one whole and focus on this individual film first. Like, this was the first time that I felt that way about a Spider-Man movie in this universe. I will say though, the Punisher inclusions in this film were fantastic and I really enjoyed them, and it makes too much sense, right? I mean, the Punisher was introduced in the comics via Spider-Man as a villain, so it's about time that we got to see them on screen together, and that kind of saved the film for me, if I'm being honest. All in all though, I did really enjoy this film. I mean, it's a Spider-Man movie. Much like dinosaurs, it's like physically impossible for me to dislike something truly that features this character. It has a soft spot in my heart. Now, I will say, however, this might be my least favorite of the 4 Tom Holland Spider-Man films, which I might be on an island here, solo take, but that's how I feel. But seemingly the mantra of the MCU the past handful of years, no, it's not as good as the peak MCU, but a lot better than the MCU crap we've been getting a lot of lately. I mean, does that sound familiar? Seems like we're saying that a lot these days. Fingers crossed on Doomsday knocking out of the park. Finally, we have Mortal Kombat 2, the sequel to the 2021 reboot that had a couple badass sequences in it, but outside of that was a whole bucket of meh. This movie, I can't in good conscience tell you it is a good one. I mean, it is like a non-existent story, exposition dumps left and right, absolutely no earned character arcs or development. I mean, it's just not a good movie. But at least this one was pretty entertaining. They crank up the fights by a large margin, a lot of them happen in very familiar locales from the games. Granted, they take place in very computer-rendered backgrounds, but at least they're colorful and vibrant. The fighting styles weren't really something that I personally gravitate towards in my favorite action films in terms of hand-to-hand combat, but it did kind of feel like they made a conscious, deliberate decision to have the choreography mirror and mimic the fighting styles of the games, and I think they nailed that. Not that I'm a huge fanboy of these games at all. I mean, outside of being a 90s kid who grew up on button mashing my way through a few matchups and marveling at the brutality with some epic-ass music, which is on full display here as well. All in all, this movie is the definition of a popcorn and beer film. You plop down on the couch and you inevitably, against your better judgment, finish both by the time that the first fatality occurs. But that is just me. What do you think? Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments below. And make sure to subscribe to this channel and stay up to date with new reviews. Coming real soon. Stay safe. Thanks for checking in.